You're probably eating eggs from a company that sickened nearly 1,900 people. And the carton still said, farm fresh. The average egg label is a masterclass in saying nothing. Cage-free, all natural, farm fresh. Most of those words mean almost nothing. Behind the packaging, recall histories most people never heard about. Hens packed into spaces smaller than a sheet of paper, and eggs that aren't nearly as good as the label suggests. Some of the most trusted names in the egg aisle have faced federal investigations, class action lawsuits, and outbreaks that made national news. In this video, we're exposing 8 egg brands you need to stop buying, but we're not just here to scare you. By the end, you'll know 4 brands that actually back up the label, with real standards, real outdoor access, and a difference you can actually see. One of them doesn't even come in a carton. Stick with me. At number 8, free range. A phrase that sounds great, but tells you a lot less than you think. Under USDA standards, free range simply means hens have some access to the outdoors. That access can mean a concrete pad, a narrow door opening onto a crowded lot, a strip of bare dirt shared by thousands of birds. There's no minimum square footage requirement per hen, no guarantee the birds ever step outside. Nellie's puts free range right there in bold on the carton, next to a cartoon hen that looks like she's living her best life. To their credit, Nellie's does participate in the Certified Humane Free-Range program, which means their partner farms get audited. But that program only requires 2 square feet of outdoor space per bird. 2 square feet. That can be dirt, gravel, or concrete. Grass is optional. And because Nellie's sources from partner farms across the country, conditions can vary a lot from one farm to the next. Here's the math that should bother you. Nellie's typically retails for $5 to $7 a dozen. Vital Farms, which we'll get to later, costs roughly the same. And their hens get a verified 108 square feet of outdoor pasture each. That's over 50 times more space on actual grass confirmed by on-site auditors. You're paying a pasture-raised price for a free-range label, and those are not the same thing. And if you think that's bad, wait until we get to the brand tied to over 206 million recalled eggs. Coming in at number 7, we have Great Value, the Walmart store brand. Cheap, everywhere, and millions of people grab it without a second look. If you grab the cheapest Great Value carton, not the cage-free one, you're buying the bottom tier of industrial egg production. Walmart does offer cage-free options now, but their cheapest eggs come from conventional operations where hens can be confined to roughly 67 square inches each. Less than a single sheet of printer paper for their entire laying lives. They can't spread their wings. They can't turn around without pressing into another bird. That matters beyond ethics. A 2010 study in the British Poultry Science Journal found that hens in tight confinement produced eggs with lower omega-3 levels. Separate research in renewable agriculture and food systems found that pasture-raised eggs can contain up to 3 times the omega-3s, twice the vitamin E, and significantly more vitamin D. USDA hasn't said housing alone definitively changes nutrition, but several peer-reviewed studies suggest the whole system matters. You're getting the cheapest version of a food that can be incredibly nutrient-dense. And for this carton, low price is the main selling point. At number 6 is a brand a lot of people assume belongs on the good list, Eggland's Best. And that's exactly what makes it worth questioning. They've spent decades positioning themselves as the smart, health-conscious choice. The packaging highlights enhanced nutrition and higher omega-3 content. And to their credit, Eggland's is one of the few brands that actually lab tests their eggs and publishes the nutritional results. The hens are fed a special vegetarian diet with flaxseed. And yes, the eggs do test higher than conventional eggs on omega-3s and some vitamins. Eggland's Best does sell cage-free eggs, and the company says those farms are independently audited. But cage-free still means indoors, barns, not pasture. That omega-3 boost comes from the feed bag. The hens never forage insects, never eat fresh greens, never walk in real sunlight. A widely cited 2007 Mother Earth News study testing eggs from 14 pasture-based flocks found they averaged 2/3 more vitamin A than USDA conventional standards, on top of the omega-3 gains. That broader nutritional profile comes from the whole setup working together: feed, movement, sunlight, and forage. You don't get all of that by tweaking one ingredient. You're paying a significant premium for a product that improves on one variable: feed, while leaving the rest of the system unchanged. The marketing is doing most of the heavy lifting. At number 5, we get into the brands with serious history, the kind of baggage that no amount of rebranding can fully erase. In the summer of 2010, Hillandale Farms was swept up in one of the largest egg recalls in American history. The company recalled over 170 million eggs after a salmonella outbreak sickened an estimated 1,900 people across multiple states. Let that number sit. 1,900 people sick from eggs traced to a single production network. FDA inspectors who entered Hillandale's Iowa facilities documented what they found. Rodent activity throughout the barns. Manure piled so high it forced open doors between sections of the facility. Live flies moving freely through production areas. These are the conditions that allow salmonella to spread through a flock and into the food supply fast. The FDA issued a formal warning letter. Hillandale has made operational changes since then, and the egg industry as a whole has tightened some food safety protocols in the years following the 2010 outbreak. But that recall didn't happen in isolation. It was part of the same federal investigation that took down Wright County Egg, which recalled another 380 million eggs in the same outbreak. That case led to something rare in the food industry. The owners of Wright County Egg pleaded guilty to federal charges and went to prison. When a company is part of a contamination event that sickens nearly 2,000 people, the burden of trust is enormous. And it's fair to ask whether that trust has been fully rebuilt. Number 4 on the list. Before I tell you the brand, here's what FDA investigators found inside the facility. Rodents, insects, wild birds inside the production barns, standing water from drainage failures pooling on the floor, basic sanitation protocols not being followed consistently. The brand was Acre Farms. In April 2018, they recalled over 206 million eggs, one of the biggest egg recalls the country had ever seen, after a salmonella outbreak sickened at least 35 people across 9 states. Acre has made changes since then, and FDA oversight has increased. Still, those recalled eggs were sold under more than 24 different brand names nationwide. Your carton might not say Acre Farms anywhere on it, but the eggs inside could have come directly from their system. Industrial egg production at this scale means one compromised facility can push contaminated product through dozens of distribution channels before anyone catches it. Know where your eggs are coming from, beyond just the name on the carton. Landing at number 3 is a brand that's built entirely on vibes. The name, the cartoon chickens, the warm orange yolk on the front of the carton. Happy Egg is one of the most aggressively branded options in the premium egg aisle. And it works. People buy it because it feels like the responsible, conscious choice. But in 2021, a class action lawsuit accused Happy Egg of misleading consumers about the actual living conditions of its hens. The claim was straightforward. The brand's marketing implied pasture-raised conditions, open land, roaming hens, when the reality was closer to standard free range. High stocking densities, minimal, meaningful outdoor access. Here's the deeper issue. Happy Egg sources from a network of independent contract farms, and free-range certification often relies more on paperwork than on regular in-person farm visits. When a brand's entire identity is built on the image of happy hens on open pasture, but the verification behind it is that loose, you're paying for the narrative, not the egg. A happy label and a happy hen are two entirely different things. Number 2 on the list, and this one might surprise people. Pete & Gerry's is genuinely better than most of what surrounds it on the shelf. Organic certification, humane handling language, small farm imagery across every panel. And organic is real. It means no synthetic pesticides and no antibiotics in the feed, verified by USDA-accredited certifiers. So why is it on the list? Because better than the worst is not the same as worth $6 to $8 a dozen. Organic certification requires outdoor access, but there's no rule about how much outdoor space each bird actually gets. Hens housed in certified organic barns can still live packed tight enough that they never forage the way they're supposed to. Here's a test you can do yourself. Crack a Pete & Gerry's egg next to one from a genuinely pasture-raised brand like the ones I'm about to recommend. Pete & Gerry's tends to run noticeably paler. Yolk color isn't a perfect nutrition test. Feed matters too. But a consistently pale yolk usually means the hens are getting less of the greens and forage that deepen that color. Now, flip side of that, Don't let a dark yolk fool you automatically either. Some conventional producers add marigold extract or paprika to their feed specifically to darken the yolk color without changing anything else about how the hens live. So don't treat a dark orange yolk as proof by itself. You're paying a meaningful premium here for organic feed, and that is a real benefit. But at this price point, you should be getting the whole package. And the #1 brand to avoid. This is the big one. Cal-Maine is the single largest producer and distributor of shell eggs in the United States. In fiscal year 2024, they reported selling approximately 1.1 billion dozen eggs. Let that land. Billion with a B. Their product ends up in store brand cartons across the country under dozens of different names, from Food Lion to Piggly Wiggly to your regional chain. Cal-Maine has been caught in multiple recalls. In 2010, they distributed eggs tied to the massive Hillandale/Wright County outbreak. In 2018, they pulled eggs from a Acre facility linked to salmonella. Both times, the contamination started somewhere else, but the eggs ended up in Cal-Maine cartons under Cal-Maine brand names. That's the supply chain problem in miniature. When one company touches that much of the market, other producers' failures become your breakfast. Industrial production at this level means battery cage environments across most facilities, birds packed as tightly as legally allowed, and eggs with some of the weakest nutritional profiles in the egg aisle. The hens are fed the cheapest available grain, live without meaningful space or natural light, and produce an egg that delivers far less than what the food is genuinely capable of. This is the carton that belongs furthest from your kitchen, regardless of the name printed on the front. And remember what I said about Acre, how one producer's eggs end up under dozens of brand names? Cal-Maine is that problem at the largest possible scale. You might be buying their eggs right now and not even know it. So that's the list. 8 brands that aren't earning what they charge. But I promised you a second list. What does a trustworthy egg actually look like? Here are 4 brands that deliver. Starting off our good list at number 4. Vital Farms is what people think they're buying when they pick up a premium carton. And here, the label actually matches. Whole Foods, Kroger, Target, Walmart, they're everywhere. Every hen gets a certified minimum of 108 square feet of outdoor space. For context, the battery cage standard is 67 square inches. That's not a typo. We're talking 108 square feet versus 67 square inches. Third-party auditors from Certified Humane verify that standard on site. The yolks tend to run deep orange, a useful visual clue that the hens are getting real forage and a varied outdoor diet. Vital Farms typically runs $7 to $9 a dozen, depending on your market. Research on pasture-raised systems suggests the nutritional difference can be real. And here, the farming standard behind the premium is actually being enforced. This is what a premium egg should look like. Number 3 on the good list takes things to another level. This is one of the only certified regenerative organic egg producers with real scale in the US, based out of Crescent City, California. Alexandre goes further than outdoor access. They rotate their hens across pasture on a regular schedule, so the birds are always working fresh ground, and the land recovers between rotations. That rotational system is the gold standard in regenerative agriculture. It builds soil health while giving the hens fresh food to forage every time they move. Regenerative Organic Certification, administered by the Regenerative Organic Alliance, is one of the hardest certifications to earn in farming. It covers soil health, animal welfare, and farmer livelihood together, stacked on top of USDA Organic as a baseline. Eggs from a system like this are about as good as it gets from a grocery shelf. If you can find these eggs, and they're mostly available in the Western US and through specialty retailers, they're worth every penny. Coming in at number 2. And if you're on the East Coast, pay attention. Handsome Brook Farm partners with over 200 small independent farms, primarily in the eastern United States, and holds every one of them to the same pasture-raised space standard as Vital Farms. What sets them apart is transparency. Their cartons tell you exactly what pasture-raised means and how their farms meet it. And their network model means you're supporting small family farms with every carton. The eggs back it up. Deep yolks, firm whites, and a difference many regular cooks notice right away. They carry both Certified Humane and USDA Organic certifications, with inspection standards that go well beyond self-reporting. Available at most Whole Foods locations and a growing number of conventional grocery chains. typically $7 to $8 a dozen, and you're getting what you pay for. And the #1 best place to buy your eggs doesn't have a brand name at all. No carton required. No certification needed. If you can speak directly to the person raising the hens, you have access to more transparency than any label in any grocery store can offer. Ask 3 questions. What do your hens eat beyond grain? How much space do they have? Are they moved to fresh pasture? A farmer who can answer those with confidence and detail is giving you more verification than the most elaborate carton design ever could. Farmers market eggs from small, genuinely pastured flocks tend to outperform packaged options on yolk color, taste, and nutritional density. They typically run $5 to $7 a dozen, which puts them at or below many premium grocery store brands. Find a farmer you trust. Ask those 3 questions. That's the best egg decision you'll ever make. Now, on a side note, do you eat cheese? Because a lot of the common cheeses in your grocery store are probably fake. My video on 8 fake cheeses to avoid and 4 safe ones is on screen. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe so you catch the next one, and drop your go-to egg brand in the comments. I'll tell you if it made the good list or the bad list.